Hi everyone, before we start, I just wanted to mention that today's read has a ton of trigger warnings, including pandemic, parental death, body horror, gore, transphobia, homophobia, child abuse, religious abuse, war, fire, and gun violence, including in the little snippet that I include here at the beginning. So if you have any of these triggers, just be warned. Today's read is very heavy. If the boy in black pulls the trigger, he'll kill me. I picture it, mapping each detail from Dad's body to mine. One shot to the chest to drop me, a second to the head to finish the job. His face, my face, caving around the bullet, sucked in toward the black hole of our eyes. It would keep Seraph out of the angel's hands if I were dead. Wouldn't it? Hi everyone, my name is Parker Kelly and I'm a library science student at Drexel University, and this is part of my series reviewing resources for young adults. In this case, today we'll be talking about Hell Followed With Us, a novel by Andrew Joseph White. The novel was printed in 2022, clocks in at about 219 pages of just some of the most gory, drippingest, horror that I've ever read. It's got some great apocalyptic elements and some supernatural elements also, and lots of awesome queer characters. Essentially, this book focuses on Benji, a transmask chosen one for this Christian fundamentalist cult who have destroyed much of the world and genocided away a lot of the world population using a virus called the Flood. Benji has a unique sort of affliction where he's been infected with the Seraph, a version of the Flood that allows him to communicate with some of the monsters that have been created by the disease. A lot of the themes in it involve queer monstrosity and sort of like embracing your queerness, embracing your transness, and embracing the monster within you to fight back against some of the cruelty and injustice that are afflicted on you by religious sort of trauma. It has a really interesting and very violent plot involving just a scrappy band of queer survivors trying to make it in a world that doesn't feel all that hopeful. I thought that the book was really, really compelling and was able to do some really great things with the idea of becoming a monster, making it feel really, really scary, while also sort of reveling in the revenge fantasy of it all. Pretty neat. I ended up giving the novel 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it had some really cool ideas and some really cool passages that felt really tense. I found my eyes glued to the page for a lot of it, and while I didn't think that the character development was all that present in it, I thought the characters themselves had really interesting motives for what they were doing in the story. I really enjoyed getting to read some of the gorier, weirder, grosser parts of this book. It really flirts the line between young adult and adult literature pretty heavily, and I think for that reason it could be a great transition book if you're trying to get into more mature and adult horror, but you'd still like to enjoy books with teen characters. I think that the characters themselves also have great relationships, and while the focus is really on the horror of the apocalyptic and supernatural elements, there is a little bit of a touch of some queer romance and stuff from a couple different angles. Not too much, though, to spoil it for me. If you're a fan of science fiction, especially stuff like the Dead Space games or the Alien movies, I think you'll get a lot out of this. It's hard for me to compare this book to any other young adult book that I've read before because of how aggressively gory and violent the apocalyptic sort of situation is compared to some of the other dystopian novels that I've read in my life. The book is really highly reviewed and was a finalist for the Young Adult Library Services Association's 2023 Morris Award. It was on several bestseller lists in 2022 when it came out, and you can really see why when you read through it. The prose is just really wonderful, and we're looking forward, supposedly, to an adaptation by Lily Wachowski of the Matrix movies, which I think was going to be pretty sweet. I feel like I can definitely see this being a great book for an adaptation to the screen. And if you want to get ahead of it now before it really blows up, I think it's a perfect time to find it at your local library or bookshop and check it out for yourself. All right, until next time, Parker Kelly out.